Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk Fishing with No Limits, brought to you by Seaguar High Performance Braids, 7 Reels created by St. Croix, and Rufflin's Kennels Clean Cutting Station. This cutting board is phenomenal. I had to use mine 2 days ago, yesterday, as a matter of fact, I think it was, because the fish cleaning stations in South Dakota are closed for the season as it is getting cold. It's time to clean those fish on the tailgates, those pheasants, whatever it is you got going on. These things are phenomenal. Check them out at cutting stations at rufflinkennels.com. We are heading over to Wisconsin today. Had a little gap here. I had to get Tom Wynn on there for that championship right away. That I was out of town for a tournament in the Big Ten tournament in Chicago. Phenomenal tournament. We're going to Wisconsin. We're talking to NWC Pro, Danny Plautz. Danny's got a hell of a story. Fishes with his mom on the NWC circuit, and she is a hammer, and they do awesome. You always see them at the top of that leaderboard over there. They do good. It's just super, super cool. His story of fishing with his dad growing up and his dad doing tournaments and then now fishing with his mom and he's in the team circuit stuff. And then he talk about his 2020-25 NWT season and then what we got coming up in 2026 on tour. Just a lot of great things. Danny's a good dude and a hell of a fisherman. So we're going to break some things down. Talking to Danny. You want to stay tuned for that. And I want to give a quick shout out to another good stick, one of the best fishermen out there. Great dude, good friend. Just blessed Bill called this guy a fishing friend. Great guy. Congratulations to Mr. Jason Shearcarrot. Just got his letter in the mail inducting him into the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame. So shout out to Jason. Kudos. Couldn't have him do a better guy. Earned it, period. 20, 30 plus years of fishing tournament circuits. working the professional angling game. It's what he does, and he's good. He's a legend at it. Very, very excited and happy for him. So congrats to Jason on that outstanding accomplishment. We look forward to your induction ceremonies and all that coming in the spring. I'm sure we'll see that on his social. If you're not, go check it out. Give Jason a hand over there on his Facebook page. Nonetheless, shout out. Congrats, Jason. Just wanted to get that out there. And time to listen in. We're going to go chat with Mr. Danny Plautz. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Real Talk Fishing with No Limits. Today, we're talking NWT Pro, Mercury Pro, and Acme with all those products they got coming out at you over there, which I'm sure he's going to talk to us about a little bit today. Mr. Danny Plautz. Danny, congrats on a good NWT finish this year. How are things going over there?
Oh, things are going good. The fishing season's winding down and just getting ready for hunting season. Just waiting for these cooler temperatures to come.
Yeah, we finally got a little bit of cooler temps, and I mowed today, and I hope it's the last time I have to mow for the season. So I tried to get the mower out of gas. I just, we hope and pray. I think we have lows in the 40s now, but it has been unseasonably warm, kind of extending a lot of things. You still been getting on the water a little bit, or are you just strictly getting into hunting mode now?
It's been hunting mode right after the NWT championship. We ended up going out west to Idaho, doing some elk hunting, and got back from there. And then it was straight for work. And now it's time to get the kids out in the woods and do a little bit of deer hunting and hopefully get my dogs out and do some pheasant hunting this fall and winter.
Hey folks, I want to tell you about this new line that Seaguar introduced this year. It's been on the market for a couple years, but it's been over in Japan. They just brought it over to the United States this year, and I absolutely love it. It's called PEX8. This is by far the thinnest diameter braid I have ever used. This is still an 8-strand braided line with such a thin diameter. It's unbelievable. I'm using an 18-pound test today, and it feels like 2 pound. The advantages to this thin diameter is if it's windy out, I'm not catching much wind, I get less bow in the line. High pressure situations where the fish are, taking on a lot of fishing pressure, a thinner diameter line, less visible, of course. Current in the rivers. I'm going to cut the current a little better. I'm going to get better control, and they did all this without losing any of its strength. This stuff is still strong as all the Seaguar braided lines, and the sensitivity is second to none. So check this out. This is PEX8 over at seaguar.com.
Yeah, it's how was the elk hunt? Where'd you go? Your Idaho, you said?
Yep, we went to Idaho. This is our 8th year doing it. We went out with archery equipment, and we're just going to do it as long as my dad's able to walk up and down the mountains. And so it's just a big family ordeal. My 2 brothers, my brother-in-law, my uncle, my dad. And we just head out there in a drop camp and, we chase elk for about 7 days.
chasing those big Roosevelts out there, aren't you?
No, these are rocky ones. We're up
Are
in
they?
we're in Idaho. We're in let's see here. We're just an hour south of Jackson Hole. So, but we see elk. We had our opportunities, been in elk every single day. So we look forward to it every year. So it's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, that hunting camp in general is a good time. I can't even imagine elk camp with your uncle, your dad. I mean that's got to be a good time. Definitely memories being made, and I mean that you've been doing that your whole outdoor career, fishing with your mom, fishing with your dad. I mean, we're gonna get into that because people need to hear those stories. So that's cool stuff. I'm always interested, looking at those MWCs, back there, and I'm like, oh yeah, yep. There's Daddy fishing with his mom, or how they do it. Always in it, always up there. But before we get it, let's just go back a little bit. Tell those new listeners who maybe don't know who Danny Plautz is, or they're just getting into the fishing and they're kind of figuring out who all of us are in the walleye world a little bit. What do you do when you're not fishing? What do you kind of how'd you get to where you are today?
Yeah. So I've been fishing. This was my 24th complete season fishing on a full circuit. Started way back when I was 19, right out of high school, and it wasn't by chance. My dad's been doing it since the late 80s. He's one of the original that started fishing the MWCs and then the PWTs, RCLs, FLWs, NWTs. So, I was born into it. It's in my blood. And so we've been fishing tournaments for quite some time now. Been and on the off season, or when I'm not fishing tournaments, we do my dad owns and operates a commercial janitorial service in Milwaukee. And so he's been doing that for 52, 53 years. So I run the show there now. He's kind of walked away from it the last 4 years. And he put his time in. I told him it's time for him to enjoy all the hard work that he's done with the business and spend some time in the woods. And so him and my mom live up in northern Wisconsin. So so I run the show, the day-to-day operations, and that keeps me on my toes.
Someone's got to keep us clean, man. That's not easy work neither.
No, it's not.
Oh, I said those are like number 2 jobs for the number 1 guy, right? That's
100%. Nobody likes to clean their own buildings or their offices or their bathrooms, so somebody's got to do it. And I'm the guy.
And it's you're gonna have job security forever because
that's
a messy place, right, man. We're in a messy place, brother. You're gonna have plenty to pick up after.
Yep. So it's been between fishing and running business, it's I'm always doing something.
It's a family business. It's the family business of the janitorial. It's the family business of fishing tournaments. Like you said, your dad's been doing this forever. Your mom's no stranger to it. You grew up at it. And you see that a lot in these families. Shakir, Parsons, a lot of these guys have come from that, and they just continued it on and on. And it usually, it breeds some of the best anglers out there, like yourself, the guys that you can hop. Maybe it's not, some of us aren't the biggest household names, but I mean, you're up there. Every time you fish one of these tournaments, they're up there. And eventually they're like, man, I keep hearing this guy, from wherever. He hasn't been doing it since he was 19 years old or whatever. Yep. We made it. We don't win a lot of championships, but we could be in that top 10, which is harder than anything, is being consistent in this industry. So, I mean, and you have proven that over the years. What NWT, you've done this. You did this full season, made the championship. I think, what'd you get, like 15th, 16th in there or something?
I got 14th on that.
14th, so and with a 1-dayer, so
yep,
that was interesting to say the least. But it was
very interesting. It was very interesting that outcome of that.
Right, we all knew going into it probably got to have a blow day, so I imagine everybody kind of swung for it on day 1 a little bit. We had Tom on here. Obviously won the championship and talked about it a lot, but there were those household names that didn't make the championship, so it wasn't easy. I think a lot of guys thought, we're going to have numbers are down, it's going to be that much easier. It's not. There's some damn good sticks fishing the circuit right now.
There really is. It was I started off with a bang, had a really good start to the season, and that kind of coasted me through the year. Ended up tearing my bicep off my right arm on the first day of practice on the Mississippi River. And so I fished the whole rest of the season in a sling, in a brace, and
It's tough.
very limited. And so, like Alpena was tough. Lake Erie was, it was a grind out there. Not a grind as far as catching fish, because we caught an absolute boatload of fish out there, but just being able to move around the boat. And then, I needed to be 100% ready to rock and roll for the championship. And so, yeah, it was a grinder of a year. And, I had two really good finishes in the beginning of the season, and it kind of just it got me through there. But yeah, there were some good sticks out there, and I was kind of shocked at some of the pros that didn't make the championship. And then I just got lucky, and the competition's it's strong, and got lucky and did well, made the championship, which was my number one goal, and went out there and to Marinette.
Scoping with an arm and a sling. That ain't easy, man. I got tennis elbow or fisherman's elbow from scoping so much that Green Bay last year I had to switch arms. But I was working on switching arms, and I went and got a shot in it right before I went, and then it was good. But I was like, this is horrible. You're going to hook it. Granted, Green Bay, you didn't hardly hook in any fish last year, so it wasn't that big a deal. But it was like, I got to have to rip in these 6, 8, 9, 10 pounders with the opposite hand. And it was to the point where I'd set the hook right arm, and I would drop the rod. I can't imagine having it in a sling.
It was tough. I mean, I tried it with my left hand, and it was just, I was ass backwards for me.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I set the hook, and then I had my co-anglers, reeling it in. I'm like, here, set the hook, I did my best, to catch, like in Green Bay, I did my best to catch my fish and was able to do it. But it was quite the experience this season. So I'm looking forward to coming back next year when I'm healthy.
That is definitely some adversity you overcame and paid out. You made it in there. It's interesting. You had a good couple finishes, and then you can kind of finish maybe even mediocre, middle of the pack, and you can still make the championship. And reality, you can't ever zero. I mean, you're just not going to make it against these guys. Even it just doesn't matter. If you zero nowadays, you're not making the championship. Period. But you could still find yourself in a top 10 of AOI and never have cashed a check.
Correct. Yep.
By being very consistent. So I tell people, the rule number one, you got to bring 5 fish in.
Yep. And that was my goal. Like Alpena, I stumbled on day 2. And so I only came in with 3 fish. And I thought my season was overdone with right then and there, because I knew how important it is with the caliber of fishermen that we are competing against. If you don't bring your 5 to the table every single day, you are going to be left behind. And I was fearful that I wasn't going to make the championship. And, it's very important. That was my goal, is to get up 5 fish each and every day during competition, and see where that put me, at the end of the year at the standings. So I was a little nervous after Alpena. That I'm not going to lie.
If you can make it in without it would surprise people to see how many people actually bring a 5 fish limit in all season long. It's very seldom does it happen. I mean, Snyder had a run going for a few years. I did it 1 year. Shakirik and I did it, and they were the only 2, and Hummel fell 1 short in the championship. And that was like, and that was the goal, was just bringing 5, and then boom. If you just bring in 5, I'll see with the caliber of sticks, it just can't be 5 15 inches nowadays. You can go find that little honey hole, but you need to have those. When you only have 40, you need to go get that extra pound before you come in, because those points come down to it at the end of the year. You're like, man, I'm in 41st and I didn't make it. And you look back, you're like, it was a half a pound, that kept you out.
It's crazy how that shakes up at the end of the year.
It is, and it's always, we're all calculating it. You're like, you want to get to that position when you go to that 4th tournament where you're like, I just have to show up and catch a fish. If I weigh 1 fish, I'm good. I'm in. Obviously that's not the goal, but it's the goal. It's the first goal in that tournament. Let me get in the championship, let me get my 1, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm bang out 4 more here and then punch my ticket. It's always a good feeling as soon as you put that first one in the boat on tournament 4.
100%. Yeah, it was kind of like it happened to me this year. Just like Alpena, I wasn't quite sure what the AOI points were going to look like after that event, and then John Bala sent out all the reports and stuff like that, and I was able to calculate everything out, and then I was like, I only need to catch 1 fish out in Erie, and we're gonna stand for a ticket. So I kind of swung for it out there to try to do well, and because I knew I just needed to catch a couple.
It's a good place to only have to catch one fish.
Yes, correct. Yep.
Like if I can keep it down to maybe 40 today, it'll be minor, but and thank God for staying on the ball and keeping everybody up to speed with all that, getting those results out way faster than, the NWT gets them out. So guys can calculate this. There's no questions. Everybody knows ball of stats are pretty much spot on, and pretty cool he does that.
Very much so.
So you fishing full year NWT this year. You did a full season. I think you did last year too, didn't you?
I did last year. I did not. I had some equipment issues that didn't allow me to fish the last event.
They did some MWCs. You've done MWCs for a long time, right? And even I think you jumped in a couple A's.
I've been doing the MWCs, I believe, since the mid to late 90s with my dad's buddy. And then I started fishing with my mom in the MWCs. I believe it was right around like 1999 or 2000. I started fishing with her.
And how many years did you and your mom do that for? I mean,
every single year.
Every year I saw Spring Valley, right? It was always jump in, Daddy, Mr. and Mrs. Plautz. I'm like, no, it's not. It's his mom and it's his son and mom.
Yep. So we fished. There was a couple of years where we fished
Hey folks, Brian Shore here with Clean Cut Cutting Boards. This thing is awesome. I always carry one along with me in the truck for days like today where I find myself just getting off the water. We got a couple, nice walleyes that we kept to eat for tonight. And the fish cleaning station is broke down, or a lot of times early spring and in the fall they're closed, right? A lot of places people don't have fish cleaning stations, or whether you're somewhere really remote, you're back at your cabin or your camper, you find yourself after a good day of fishing, you got some fish to clean and you don't have anywhere to do it. I always have this Clean Cut in the back of my truck, ready to go anywhere. That's what's awesome about them. They come in 2 different sizes, a variety of colors to meet your needs. These things are just all-purpose and on the go. You can flip this thing over, and if you're having a big gathering or something, it's basically got a big bowl on the back to put your pulled pork in it. You can make a vegetable tray, whatever it may be. It is more than just a cutting station. It is a very, very versatile, durable unit made by Rufflin Kennels. So check them out over at rufflinkennels.com for the Clean Cut Cutting Station. Try it out. I guarantee you're going to love it like I do.
A handful of tournaments to qualify for the championship. Like when I knew the championships were going to somewhere fun, and then we had and then my mom could get away with the payroll that she does for the business. And so looking at her schedule, looking at that, there was a couple of years where we fished like 3 or 4 events we ended up like second place for team of the year one year and top 10 for the championship. So we have a good run, and my mom said she's never getting up that side of the boat. I'm gonna have to drag her out of there for one of my kids to come in there. But yeah, she says that's her spot, and nobody's taking it. So
she's gonna do it as long as you're gonna sign her up.
100%. Like honestly, like I wouldn't be surprised in the next couple of weeks that she calls me up like, hey, when can we sign up for Spring Valley? I'm like, Mom, we can't usually sign up until January. She's like, as soon as the registration opens, she goes, we need to get signed up right away. So
that is
she tries
cool.
to be the first person signed up for Spring Valley for the year. So I look forward to it every year.
That you always hear the father-son stories and what have you and stuff, and I think you got to be the only team out there that's it's mother-son story. It's freaking awesome, and it's not like she's not competing. Mom's a hammer, man. She's getting it done out there.
She really is. She hates trolling. She will not troll like 3-way. She will not do it, and she'll do it, and she'll just sit there in the boat and just pout the whole time we're doing it. Because, like if the jig bite's not working, and then I'm like, all right, conditions are bad. We need to troll, even though I know that we need to troll and that's how we're going to do well. And she's like, I'm only doing this because I want to cash a check. And right. I'm like, she goes, I'd rather have a jig stick in my hand. And then, and she sits there in the back of the boat and she'll pound away on a jig stick like nobody's business. And she'll make a run at it with a lot of guys that sit in the back of that boat when it's, 30 degrees out.
Yep.
And she doesn't wear gloves and she's just sitting back there. Just plugging away all day long.
You got to be tough to fish that Spring Valley tournament in March. So.
It is brutal. The last few years it's been cold, running heaters underneath our boats just to keep our lithium batteries charging. And then and my mom, she just refuses to wear gloves when it's cold out. Me, I'm bundled up front. I got my heated vest on, and you know.
Yeah, you get at least some fingerless gloves, Mom. Come on, it's
Yeah, exactly.
He is intense. That's awesome. A woman have to build a heart. Give me that jigging rod in my hand. But she's competitive as hell and knows that, water's murky or whatever it is. We need three-way, or we need to put some cranks down there to compete.
Yep.
And it's maybe it isn't what I want to do, but I want to win. So I'm going to do what I have to do.
Yep, exactly.
You had her up on the live scope yet?
What was that?
Have you had her up there on the live scope yet?
I had her out live scoping, ice fishing. I haven't had her in the boat doing it. Ice fishing a couple of years ago, I introduced that to her. We did some perching up on Bagel, and she really enjoyed that. Trying to teach my dad live scope, that's next level. But I just, I just haven't had the opportunity to get her out on a boat, on a really nice, fun bite. Right. Even on our lake in northern Wisconsin, I take the live scope out there, but she's usually doing something with the grandkids or something like that, where I only get a short amount of time to go fishing, and she's just not able to get out there and do it. So, but I'm sure she will. She would love it. That's for sure.
She will, but you want to introduce them on those places where there's suspended fish, or or not where there's the Mississippi River where it's just loaded, or they're always like on the bottom. It's tough to decipher the walleyes from the sheephead, and you want to make it.
Yeah, that's correct. Like something like Green Bay, Lake Erie, those bites are so much fun. To introduce somebody that's wants to get into live scoping. You just can't go to. You can go to a lake and figure it out, but it's gonna take you a little bit. But yeah,
take you a lot bit.
Yeah, so you get out to those areas where you're going to see fish. You're going to see them off the bottom, 3, 4, 5 feet off the bottom, and it makes it a lot easier to introduce that live scoping to them.
Yeah, it's so much easier to identify your fish, track your bait. I'm at Lewis and Clark. This lake is loaded with catfish and sheep, drum. And then it's trying to be like, there's a walleye, but can I get it to him before one of these other 10 species, eat this bait? And it's just, it's a challenge. People are like, well, how can you, scope these? And you're like, you try to throw out what you think is the right kind of fish, but it doesn't get to it half the time. It's just tricky. Next year's schedule setting up really good for the live scopers. If you're in on all next year, great time to bring Mom along for Sakakawea, Green Bay, Bay to Knock, Lake Erie.
Yep.
And you're going to be living on the front of that boat.
Oh, we're going to be living in front of the boat. I love it. I'm the schedule. I'm so excited for next year's schedule. But yeah, get my mom. It'd be great. My mom came up to Marinette this year for the championship. My dad and her came up camping. They stayed at a park right on the river. And, my mom loves camping. She loves just hanging there. She just loves being there. She loves seeing all the guys that she sees, at the NWC events and stuff like that. So she just loves hanging out and being in that environment. I wasn't able to get her out in a boat while she was there, but I'm hoping with Escanaba or Ocano or wherever those places are that we're going to, I'm sure she's going to bring her camper along and probably camp out for that whole week. And hopefully I can get her out on the boat. Both my parents, and in fact, you get them out on a boat and get them live scoping and just doing that.
Yeah, that'll be a blast. Pray for the good weather. Obviously, we want some semi-calm conditions. Another great way to learn it is when it's nice out. But as you know, we got to fish and everything, and you just got to figure it out to get dialed in. So when it's rough, sometimes you don't want to go fishing and practice trying to keep that thing on a fish. As well as everybody probably listening by now, boat control is the most crucial aspect of the whole live scope game, really.
100% correct. It's I get a lot of people, and you read all those keyboard warriors out there that say, live scope is, ruining the system, this and that, I love live scope. I mean, I'm new to it. I'm not as good as, some like Tom is, or Dewey, Max Wilson, Isaac Lockett, those guys, I'm not at that level yet, but I know, this year proved that, I can compete with these guys with it, and I'm learning something each and every day with it. But you get those guys that say that it's ruining fishing. I think it made walleye fishing exciting again. I think it really, it brought something new to the table for us, and it's enjoyable. And so I'm excited for this season. It'll be I'll learn something every single day that I'm sitting on the front of the boat, or even trolling. I mean, there's going to be times you're going to still need to be versatile. I don't care what anybody says. You still need to be versatile. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This schedule will create opportunities, no matter what your strong suits are, whether it's trolling, live scoping, whatever. This schedule is going to fit for everybody, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is, and scoping is exactly. It's little. There's not as much noise in the walleye world as there's bass. As against it, and we need to shut it down. It's ruining. Like I said, it's fun. It's a little spark. This fishery fishing style maybe needed. Wall anglers traditionally trolling, bottom bouncers. I mean, a ton of us have been pitching and jigs and doing a lot of these kind of things for years. But it's on side image. I see them over there and I'm casting over there. Then none of this whole watching it take place stuff. Or we've always identified the suspended walleyes and have trolled over them or slip bobbered them. Like the bass guys kind of missed all those fish, but I think the walleye guys, we're well aware of the suspended walleyes, but being able to cast a jig in 40 feet of water and put it in their face 15 feet down, that's a whole new concept, and that's opening up doors and obviously new baits and method. And it is fun. It's fun when it works. It's frustrating to hell when it doesn't.
Oh yeah. You hear about the guys saying that it will ruin it, but I would have loved to have one of those guys that say that it's ruining our fisheries out on the championship this year in Marinette. 4 or 5 foot waves when you're looking at 20 to 30 fish on your screen and you're getting 3 or 4 of them that are chasing. And by the time you look down and it's already 2 hours you spent on this school and you haven't had a bite. Yep. And you sitting here, it's you against that fish, and you're trying to coax them into biting. You're trying to throw everything you got in your boat at them. And by the time you know it, it's game over and it's time to head back in. But and it's not easy. I mean, I can speak for a lot of guys that are at this championship, and there was a lot of fish that were chasing. Everybody's seen a lot of fish. There's a lot of fish out there, and you just could not get them to bite anything. It didn't matter. Right. And so it's not as easy. At some points it's easy, but at some points it can be quite difficult. It can make a grown man cry in a quick hurry.
Patience. You got to be very patient, and it is, it's 1 fish per every hour and a half or whatever. You only need 5, and you're looking, and I tell people, I'm like, yeah, we only caught 6 or 7 today. We could have caught 20. We just don't throw at those other fish because we didn't want them. They're not going to do you any good, so you're able to, especially fisheries that got an average like Green Bay or Erie has got the bigger fish where you're like, I can stay away from these certain areas where I know I'm catching 15 to 18s. I want these 3, 5, 6, obviously bigger fish. And some guys will come in like, yeah, we caught a ton of fish today. I'm like, all right, but we beat you by 6, 7 pounds. We only caught 6 fish today, but because that's all you're throwing at. You're not making a lot of casts.
Well, then in Erie this year, that place is so incredible. I don't care what anybody says. Dunkirk, that was some of the most fun bite that I've ever been on in my life, hands down. And, trolling, you can catch the fish. You can catch a fish trolling. You go through 100 fish trolling, but you're not getting to those, those 2 and 3 pound fish were just absolutely piranhas. A bait got within 20, 30 feet of them, and they were snapped. They were just, it was paper trails.
You let the light lure out, you click the light counter, boom, grab the rod.
Yeah. So, and then you get the live scoping, and you can see these giant pods of fish, and then you can pick and choose, and, you can get in there, and if you get chasers, you just start cranking as fast as you can. And then you can, get that bait right into those fish that you need to catch to be competitive out there, especially when you're dealing with those giant pods of walleyes. I mean, it was pretty incredible. So, you might have to go through like a pot of fish trolling like 3, 4, 5 times just to weed through those smaller fish. Right. And by the time you're done doing that on a mile and a half troll, your day's pretty much done with. Right. So you got to be efficient out there in that short amount of time. And it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's always a good problem when you're having to real fast or move it to get it away from fish biting it. Cause you're like, nope, not that one, and throw it back out there quick. And it's almost like you need the co-angler. You throw over here to chum all the fish away. Okay. And then hopefully the big one doesn't move and I can go get him.
100%. And the co-angler, see, I what I've learned, you hear a lot of things about the co-anglers and stuff like that.
Right.
Having to sit in the back of the boat. All I am as a worm man, back there or a net man, and not in my boat. My boat, I have two forward-facing sonars, a Lowrance one, and I have Garmin sitting right in front of my boat. My co-angler is side by side with me, and we work as a team. And it just was efficient that way for me in my boat. And then my co-anglers were like, "What? You want me to be up here with you?" I'm like, "Yeah, you and I are going to be standing shoulder to shoulder. We are going to work these schools as a team."
1-2 them. You miss your cast, he follows you right up.
100%. And then so like when we have our trolling motors at 8, 9, 10 speed and we're covering water, I'm scanning the front half, and then he's scanning the right side or whatever side I have that other portable unit on, and he's just scanning away. And then he says, "Oh, there's some fish," and I'll lock down and I'll let him make the first cast, and then I'll try to nose up, square up on those fish just in case he misses, and we're right back at there working as a team.
It's I think I see a lot more people doing it. Buddy John and I did that at the NTC. We just one scope on the front and it just alternated casts. So, because you think you're on it and then it drops or hits water and you're like, nope, or you threw your crawler off or whatever. So, but having another bait or a different bait to follow that right back up, and next guy throw it out there. It's obviously trickier for the person not on the foot pedal to try to keep you and everything in line, because so much is muscle memory. I don't even look up sometimes. You just cast, throw, and retrieve it. But even having the pole up there, when the guy's in the back of the boat and you're up the front, and you're whipping that thing all over it. It's really not doing them any good back there at all.
It's really not. No, it's not doing them any good back there. They're not learning anything.
No,
it's frustrating for them, and I see that. When my dad's in the boat with me, or I have a buddy in the back of the boat, and he just like, yeah, this is impossible. So I'm like, move up here and let's do this as a team. It makes life a lot easier and more enjoyable for the day.
Yep. Yeah, you got to, every body of water is going to present, a little bit of different, technique to where maybe a guy in the back dragging a bouncer or two is going to work, or rigging a chub or something like that. But on the suspended bites, like you're going to be looking at a lot of next year, it ain't going to, it's not going to help you to get those codes up front. So if you listen to codes, you're not, yes, that man, worm man, you can call yourself whatever, but just like Daddy, you're going to be sitting on the front of a lot of guys' boats, I think, doing the same 1-2, as a team type approach. So,
yep. And then with the live scope, and it's been such an adjustment the last couple of years with it being introduced into our into the walleye world. And I think the guys that adapt with the changes and then work as a team are going to be more efficient in their day. And you're going to see those guys at the top of the leaderboard regularly when they start putting a program together.
Yep, I concur. I think you are spot on with that for sure. So we talked a little bit. We got 2026 schedule coming up. Lake Erie, Mobridge, so Lake Oahe, Beta Knock.
Yep.
Green Bay, Ocana, and then Championships, Kakawea. All great fisheries, all got big fish. Party fishing rules in North Dakota, Kakawea. We don't know what they're going to do with Beta Knock or Green Bay yet. If we're going to split that, it's going to be Michigan or Wisconsin waters only. That's, what I would assume they would do, but we have no idea. Lord knows what the NWT is ever going to do sometimes. So that we're not fishing the same fishery basically in back-to-back places. But we got slots up there in Beta Knock, I believe. I'm not sure what is it, like 2 over 22 or 23 or something?
Yep, 2 over 23, and then the rest have to be under 23.
Right. So, because that's as you go out of Little Bay, I think, right? And then into Bay, but the Little Bays. So when you're coming through something with a slot, you got to meet that fishery slot. So ideally, it would just be a Michigan waters tournament and then Wisconsin, for the Green Bay thing.
I would love to have boundaries in our circuit. It'd be nice to have some regulations on that. But we'll see. See what they come up with for the next season.
If I was the host city, I would require it with the contract.
100%.
So I don't have people staying in Escanaba launching out of Ocana.
Yep.
I'm like, no, the whole point is we're hosting you. We're giving you some money to put this on in our community. You need to fish in our community and stay here. So
I totally agree. And then, I heard a lot of people talking about, the size bodies of water that we're going to this year. And I don't mind it. I just, they're worried about blow days,
No.
the inclement weathers, that's where the NWT or somebody needs to put in blow days
Yep.
For these events, because the community wants us there for more than just one day. If we get a day, they want us to spend another day. Like honestly, in Marinette, that was something else. I was talking even with the manager at the hotel that I was staying at, and I'm like, yep, we're done. I gotta check out this morning. And he's like, what? Like, I thought you were gonna be here for a couple of days. I'm like, that tournament's over.
So did I, right?
That's what I thought. And then so they were concerned with, like, hey, we're the host hotel. They should put in a blow day so that we're bringing more money and we're spending more money at the restaurants, the bait stores, the hotel, and things like that. The community wants us to be there the whole duration of the time.
Yeah,
that was silly.
That was silly as being polite. It's
Yes.
the championship, nonetheless. You got to have it. You got to have one built in. I get it's already a 3-day tournament. We've been there. We've done this before. Everybody fished, that last day with 2 blow days. And I get it. You're not going to have blow day after blow day after blow day. Eventually, it's like everybody's got to go home. We got to get back. 95% of the walleye anglers on tour have other jobs. So we got to get back. And I don't know, that happened years ago on that championship. I think it was Kendall that had. He's like, I got to go. And I'm like, if we get one more day, I got to go too. We got trips coming up. We got to get out of here. And we're able to make it go. But Great Lakes, you got lucky at Huron, got lucky at Dunkirk. I mean, really, wind can be a factor pretty much anywhere you go, it seems like, except the Mississippi River. I think it's pretty much always fun. And we had it on the Detroit River a few years ago. It's one place where wind won't be a factor. It was a factor because it was blowing against the current and made it just kind of a disaster. So we had a blow day there, which I didn't think was ever going to happen. And it did. So it's possible anywhere you go. But yeah, mix in a blow day or something. Nonetheless, for a championship, you got to have it for the championship at least.
100%, yeah. And in boundaries, you got to have boundaries. I mean, we had in the PWT, we had boundaries, and it worked out just fine. You figured out that area, and like you said, we are going to be in that community. We're going to be spending our time there, and instead of driving all the way around to Door County or something like that, Sturgeon Bay, you're spending all your practice over there instead of being in Marinette.
Yep. We had an angler meeting a couple years ago at Devil's Lake at the championship, and then we said there've been some surveys, and those questions were asked. They're asked in the room, so I know that 99% of the room raised their hand and said yes, put boundaries on it. They said Green Bay, 30 miles. It's good enough. It's a big body of water, and when it's this many miles across and up, it's like that's fine. We're all having to fish the same area, so it's fine. So it's a good playing field. What about the guides? Well, if you have a boundary, the guide can guide outside that boundary on those such big bodies of water. And then it was time off water for maybe 2 weeks, which you didn't have that at the championship this year, but they had it last year.
Yes, it
weird.
did.
Why are we? If we're going to have this rule, why did we just got to pick and choose when we have it? And I heard rumors say, well, the so and so fishes this tournament there, head to heads there. I'm like, doesn't matter. I knew the schedule, and the rules are the rules. You're going to have to pick and choose.
And 100% correct. I mean, I'm okay with having off limits or off periods on bodies of water, especially championships, or in fact, or having a limited practice. I'm cool with that. I mean, I got limited practice compared to everybody else because I got to run a business.
Right.
So it's that'd be cool if they had limited practice off periods.
Those were things we all voted for as well. We have 99% of the room said yes. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or whatever. It was Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It was 4 days, like 4.5 days at the most. And that was it. And the problem is even the guys that fish more than that at practice, they're like, well, that's because you allow me to force my hand. My wife will be happier because I'm going to stay home a couple of days longer. But if you tell me I can only fish a day, great. And I'd rather you do that. But I'm going to go a couple, 3 extra days early because maybe they don't have nothing going on or like just because I can.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I totally agree. Well, see, something's got to change. Something's got to change to help our industry out.
I mean, like you said, the live scope in the walleye world, it's a good thing in a sense, right? It's walleye fishing is fun again. We're bringing it back. It was never not fun, but you can still troll. Like you said, you got to be super diverse. Trolling, there's got to be a handful of people pulling cranks and running them offshore planer boards out there at Lake Erie, running 4 rods versus the 1 or 2 rods, right? Because you're going to catch big fish. And we seen it last time there was the day 1 leader was trolling, and then Ryan Buddy was right up there. Those guys that went east, a bunch of them, they were all cranking, and they did real well. And then you got to get to Walleye. There's got to, that's May. I've never fished up that way in May, so I don't really know what to expect. There's a lot of big fish up there, but I guarantee there's going to be some people cranking lead. There's going to be some shallow jig pitching, plastics and crawlers or, minnows, what have you. And then there's going to obviously be, plenty of scoping around, but I don't know if there'll be so many suspended fish at that time.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll probably be shallow bite. I've never fished up there at that time of year. We've always were on either Cass Lake or, I'm not Cass. We were up in Sharp, and then we were, other parts of that reservoir, earlier in the year. And never been up to Mobridge yet. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it's always June or July or something when they go there, or even, into the fall. And then those fish are in the trees, and they'll go super deep. And I mean, there's always some fish shallow. So May would be interesting. Beta Knock, I've never actually been there. I just keep driving by it, go, man, I want to go fish there. It's the home of the Giants. So you've probably been there plenty of times.
Yeah, I've been there a handful of times.
And it's a pretty cool fishery from what I understand.
It's gorgeous up there. I love the Escanaba community. Like that town, that area is just like a lot like Marinette. It's just gorgeous, gorgeous fishing. The scenery is awesome. And there's some nice fish up there. It'll be a fun event. I know that we're going there in June, and everybody's worried about the alewives, but I think we're going to be far enough north to where I don't think we will have too much effect on that. But who knows what spring brings? Who knows what Mother Nature's going to bring out for weather? But we'll be able to catch fish up there when we get up there.
Hey, it's just another challenge it throws at us. So, I mean, last time that was a problem in Green Bay, everybody went to Escanaba. They still didn't catch a lot of fish, but when you can catch 1 10-pounder, it goes a long ways. So, I mean, there's definitely some big
NWT
fish.
Went there this year in June, I believe it was.
Yep.
Or somebody went there.
NWT was there, I think. Yep.
Yeah, and then it sounded like it was a pretty good bite.
Yep. Yeah, I think it'll be just fine, like I said. And it is super cool country. And I don't know. I've stayed in Escanaba, pretty cool little town. Marinette's a great host city. I mean, they go all out. Great place for a championship in Ocana. I mean, those are fishing towns, man. Mobridge, every time you've ever gone out of Mobridge, I mean, it's South Dakota shows up, not just in the anglers participating, but the crowds are some of the biggest crowds. You got the entire CVB, tourism, fire department, making breakfast or rules meeting dinners. They're with all their side-by-sides, hauling guys from, it's South Dakota. We got to park a half mile from the boat ramp sometimes. So they're hauling everybody back down to their boats or parking your trucks for you. I mean, they get it. It's a big deal for them, and because these are pretty small towns, out here that are on the river, like in Pigstown, real small, or even the Mobridge area. They're like, yeah, bring it here, stay here, and we're going to do everything we can to support you. And they show up.
Oh, Pigstown was incredible a couple of years ago. I could not believe the people that showed up for that. That parking lot was stuffed full of spectators, and it was a pretty awesome sight to see there. That was incredible. Yeah,
nothing has come close to touching that ever in the NWT's time. Anyone I've been at, there's never been a turnout like that. Good tournament. We had the NTC was there this year. I don't know if they expected the same thing. It wasn't remotely close. I would say a 16th of the size of the crowd.
Oh, really? Wow.
But a lot of them just didn't know about it. No.
Do you think the circuits are just failing as far as advertising in those communities? Like when we roll into town, and like back in the PWT days, you'd roll into roll into Bismarck for a championship, and there's a sign on every block, or like even Houghton, Michigan, when the championships and we had those qualifiers up there in the PWT. You roll into town, and there's just banners everywhere promoting. And I mean, some of the biggest crowds that we've seen in the PWT days is when those communities and the PWT were advertising when we came to town. And I think they're missing the boat on that.
Yeah, I think that they are probably expecting the community to do a bunch of it. some of these communities don't know, if maybe they're new to it. I know when you came to Chamberlain a few years back, they had no idea. I mean, they got overlooked and it was out of Pigstown, and then they got switched to Chamberlain. I got on the phone, made some calls, and explained it, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, come here, we're all in." And they all, and then so the second time they came, they were more at it, but they do it on a pretty small scale locally, and I'm like, which is good because that's who you want to show up, for all the weigh-ins and stuff. But I think it's amongst all the anglers, their social posts and whatever else is really where that message is at. I mean, that's up to the NWT or the federation, whoever's in charge of communicating those contract, with those communities on, giving them some tools and some resources. I know when I was, editing a magazine, that if someone was coming to town, I reached out and said, "Hey, we're going to do an article, blah, blah, blah. We're going to put in this magazine. It's going to come out a month before. It's going to promote the tournament." But there isn't those magazines anymore.
Yeah.
There isn't. It just takes somebody who gets it on both sides. I think like some of those communities had people there, Devil's Lake, Susie gets it. We're going to Devil's Lake. Everybody knows. But I remember waiting at Erie. I think we're going out of Sandusky. The logs were in the boat ramp one morning or whatever, right?
Yep.
So we're backed up. The highway's like backed up to the interstate. The point where you just walked out of your truck on the road, and I walked in and got coffee and just let it sit out there and run. And the lady was like, "What's going on?" There's like 150 some boats in this tournament. And she is literally 2 blocks from the boat ramp. And she was like, "What's going on here this morning?" I'm like, "You don't even know." I mean, there's been guys in here all week long, every day, fueling up their boats and buying night crawlers or whatever. And now there's, 200 dudes coming in, getting coffee and rolls while they're waiting for this thing to move. And it's like, how do you not? And of course, then she's like, "Oh, you need to go by the lighthouse and do this and go there." And like, all right, thanks for the input. But how do you not know?
I don't get it. It happened in Spring Valley too when the NWT came to Spring Valley.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Spring Valley very well. I fished the Illinois River a boatload of times, and then I went into a bar to have dinner one day, and then there was a bunch of locals in there like, "Hey, what are you doing? Where are you from?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm here fishing NWT on the Illinois River." They looked at each other like, we had no idea that there was even an event in here. I thought the MWC was this past week. And I'm like, "No, this is the big guys. These are the big guys." They're like, "We had no idea that you guys were even in town." And I was like, "Really?"
And see,
like, "That's interesting."
So is it the federation? Because that's the same organization that runs the MWC, but they know the MWC is coming every year. I mean, it's kind of a staple at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who to blame for this. I would probably blame it on all parties, probably a little bit. I think the anglers in general, we all just need to do a little better job of promoting it ourselves, way out in front. I always tell them, what drives me nuts is when we show up to these tournaments and the communities are all in, the mayor's there, gives a little "thanks for coming to our community," or the CVB person or whatever, and that's awesome, and they get their little 2-minute commercial on the, the televised show. But they hand you a bag of goodies at the rules meeting with coupons or all the places to go. You're like, "Great, I'm leaving in 2 days. This would have been nice to have all week because now I don't have time to do any of this."
100% correct. They like when you sign up for that tournament, they've got some goodies. Send it.
Email it out. Email it out. We have technology people shoot this email from these chambers. Say, "Hey, here's our whole list." I do it a damn screenshot. People can print it off themselves and cut the coupons out if they need to be, or give them QR codes. We're in the 21st century, folks. This is all pretty damn simple, but give it weeks, maybe months in advance, especially if they're hotels and lodging when people are like, "I don't know where to stay." Yes, they have the host hotel listed, but it may be full. And there's 2 or 3 other, or the CVB info. And people will just be like, "Oh, I'll call them and see what they say." If the information's given to us, the anglers, versus having to look it up, they're more likely to just look at the stuff that's given to them versus Googling it or trying to find whatever.
100%. Like when you get your confirmation letter from the NWT, okay, now you got another attachment that you can print off, and there's everything you need to know about the community and what they're offering, and then you can plan, because at that point, now you're planning your lodging, you're planning, where the boat ramps are, and you're doing your pre-tournament planning at that point. So yeah, maybe send out something during your confirmation.
The confirmation's still a couple weeks out, so I would say that's like the the latest you want to be, but there's no reason it should be a PDF like the rules and everything else that comes in that. Boom. Here's everything you need to know about the community that they're telling us or they want you to know. I mean, if it's people don't participate, then that's on those communities. But it's just one more click of a button. I mean,
it really is.
Everything is work, I guess. And I know the world we live in, a lot of people just don't seem to want to work too hard at it. But I don't run the tournament, so we all have a lot of ways to make things better. Everything costs money, but I understand that. And that does take time, and someone's got to create this and do that. But if I'm on the chamber or the tourism side of it, it's done. I give you a completed product when it goes to NWT and whoever's emailing the stuff out and saying, here it is. Our community invested all this money into it. CVB Tourism Department put this program or whatever, or this flyer together. There you go. Now it's on you guys to distribute it. And if you're not, give me all your anglers' emails and we'll take care of it ourselves.
Yeah. Yep. That's there's just another way to get exposure and get people involved in our sport.
Right. And I mean, and validate that investment those communities are making. There's a lot of chatter of why you guys go here. Why don't you go to Minnesota? Why don't you go here, blah, blah, blah. Why are we going to Secaucus for the championship when it's a giant reservoir? And we only have 40 boats, coming. So does the community kind of, it's an extra day tournament, hopefully. Granted, quite a few of the guys will stick around for that third day, and you'll have a good turnout, probably just as good a turnout if it was 100 boats as far as, crowd participation, because they show up there. It's a great community. And that end of the lake that time of year will be fine. There'll be fish from wherever you want to go. You're going to be able to catch them. I do feel like they missed out on an opportunity to get the numbers up, because the numbers are really not good this year. Yep. You want that 125 average to get that championship payouts to make everything more beneficial to people. You don't want to get a 10th place check for $3,500. That's no good, but that's happening, or 11th place or 12th place.
Yeah, that's correct.
So Erie's a good one to start out. Always gets good numbers. Mobridge should probably get pretty good numbers. Will we hit? We'll probably just average around the 100 again. I don't, probably. Probably not, hopefully not in the 80s like it was this year. Just because there's schedule's better, a little more excitement. The timing this year fell on a lot of holidays and stuff like that. So I think upcoming one looks better.
A lot of guys too this year was everything falling on the holidays. I know, my wife, knowing that, I fish tournaments and she knows what I do. It's just part of the game. But, a lot of these guys that have families and things like that, it made it pretty tough. I know, like my wife, she wasn't happy with some of the tournaments when we had to leave, like 4th of July.
Easter, first one was.
Yeah. And then just missing family stuff. It's the sacrifices that we have to do, but a little bit better planning would be helpful on our end.
And I get it. I explained this in a different podcast, how that whole process is done with the Walleye Federation and Bass Pro. So if you're all wondering, listen to that. It kind of breaks it down a little bit, but it still goes back to just, we could do a little work. We could do a little better planning. We can make this all happen for everybody. But
yeah. And I know that there's a lot of local tournaments that a lot of people fish, outside of the NWT, MWC, things like that, you're always going to have your conflicts. We have, you got the Lake Erie Walleye Tour that, that's really strong. You have the Michigan Walleye Tour that's really strong. So you're going to have conflicts there, but just working with everybody and just being mindful.
Yeah, they're always worried about the permits, and I'm like, I've gotten a few permits, and I can get a South Dakota fishing permit in probably about 2 minutes. It takes me online. You got to have it in 30 days prior to your event at the minimum. And I know, Kurt, you can't submit them until November 1st for the following year. I know Kurt does the Governor's Cup at like 12:01 a.m. to make sure he got to get that, that date type thing. But it's fill out a couple boxes, click a couple buttons, and that's that. So you can add that blow day. Now I get it. They're based off their travel and whoever's running the tournaments next year. I don't know if it'll be the same organization or not. But I'm sure they had a lot of insight on that schedule based on where they got to be and how much time it takes to get to where you got to go and what have you. But you also got to think about the anglers, because your other schedule and your other businesses aren't our issue.
Yep.
I mean, the bottom line is that's really not our problem. Our problem is this, and we're putting a ton of money into this, and so this needs to work.
Yep.
And if it doesn't, because you have these other things, then somebody else either needs to do it, or something's got to go. Somebody's got to cut something somewhere.
Yep. Correct.
Because we have, I mean, your $2,000 entry, you got another couple thousand in fuel and lodging and food, and there's enormous amount of tackle we buy. So,
yep. A lot of
what can we do to make this walleye fishing in this tournament circuit, not just NWT, just in general? It's not like we're beating up on them, but I would say that it's a great circuit. If it's not, it's fish it. If you don't like it, don't fish it. If you want to just deal with stuff, it's the only thing out there that's supposed to be on this level. We would all like to see it be on that level. I think the anglers themselves can push it there. We can put it there.
100%. I would think a lot of us anglers have a lot to blame ourselves for, where this is going, because, we talk about what we want to see, but yet the anglers don't have each other's back when something comes up. And we're forced to take them down. And when you start getting, negative about certain things, it's the anglers right away. I think we got to do better professionally, not just in the tournament world, but also in fishing general. When it comes to the different websites where the forums where you're having conversations, you have people that are just asking for like, hey, I'm just moving over to Green Bay, the Green Bay area. What kind of bite? Where should I look for starting off learning about Green Bay? And then you got people in there just absolutely just no business with, just tearing somebody down for asking a simple question. I think as anglers, as sportsmen, we can do a better job. And then it just will be better for everybody in general, helping each other out.
No doubt. You've seen the hunting world kind of tear itself down. I mean, you're a hunter. You've seen that on those socials and forums, and the fishing world kind of does it. It's so much bigger, so maybe it's not as impactful as a smaller group like the hunting world. But you're exactly right. We're sometimes our own worst enemies, and we need to. We can complain, we can bitch about the circuit and the rules or how things happen. But I said, if you don't like it, don't fish it. It's that simple. If you're going to fish it, be all in and promote it.
You're 100% correct.
And tell people where you're going, what it's about. Talk to Tom Wynn about it. He's, we're going to talk to Jeff or at the Federation, whoever's in charge, try to allow us to, let's live stream our first day and our second day. And I'm going to get Starlink. I think Drake's got it. Pretty, looking forward to next year. And I get it. We don't want to live stream day one because people will watch it and they'll whatever. I'm like, that's great. Everybody that saw me there day one will see those other boats there on day two that weren't there day one. If they choose to do that, they want to be that person. I'm like, I don't care. Come on over. Tie up if that's what you think you need to do. Okay. So Bass has the rule where you can't watch and basically you can't touch your phone after the tournament because there's no way you're not going to see something. And the walleye world doesn't have that. And that's fine. I personally don't care. And Tom's like, I don't care neither, because if it's live stream on day one and there's no boat around me, and on day two there's 20 of them, they'll know those other 19 people were watching that live stream last night, or mixing up. And I think we got a pretty solid group of 50, 60 guys, and I don't think you need to really worry about that.
You're 100% correct. Live stream would be absolutely fantastic for our sport, and I think that's what's missing. A big part of in the tournament aspect of it. I think we're missing the boat on the live streaming. Back in the day when head to head was during COVID, I mean, I'm guilty as it. I mean, don't tell my dad, but I had my laptop right there and I was watching the whole entire day while I was supposed to be working. But, and then you can look and you can see everybody that was watching that stuff.
Yep.
And they were really into it. Yeah, there was not a whole lot going on in COVID, but I still think you can get to those levels having live stream.
But that's where I say it's going to be on the anglers to do it. You're going to have to pay for it, provide it, do it yourself. People probably don't. I got a friend that's a cameraman for bass. We'll probably have him on here sometime. Jake Latondras. That's a lot of money. It's like literally over $100,000 per camera per day for bass to live stream in those boats. So we're never going to see the walleye world doing what they're doing. But if Tom Wynn did some on his YouTube page, and some of us have tried and have plans, and Starlink's really the only way to do it, to not drop signal, and you still may lose it. But then not being able to reconnect is kind of shady, because really you don't even need to be on your phone to do this stuff anymore. So, and I get it. That's the idea, is you're not on your phone. So,
yeah, but
it's going to be on us to provide those platforms to help grow this, to help, and as a professional angler, you benefit. The NWT is going to benefit from it greatly, but then you and your sponsors are. I mean, that's what you're doing. That's what we're here for.
And you're 100% correct on that. Is, sometimes you might not have the greatest tournament, so you're not going to get that coverage when you get off on the water with the NWT. You're not going to see, your sponsors are not going to see you. You're there. Your family's not going to see you. Might not cross the stage, or you might not make the show. But yeah, that live streaming will help you big time with your promotions and just teaching somebody. And people are going to take notice of it, and only good things can come from it.
Yeah, I would say, they're like, well, what if you suck? I'm like, well, then everybody learned what not to do. It's that simple, right? Don't go do what that guy was doing, because it didn't really work out today. And you as anglers, like, yep, I'm not going to do that again. We learn lessons every day in tournament fishing, good or bad.
Yep, that's correct. And good or bad, you are learning. And sometimes they're tough lessons to learn, but you won't make those mistakes twice.
Yeah, and there's not a tournament fisherman out there that hasn't had those days. They've all zeroed or whatever, or mechanical failures or equipment failures or whatever the case is. I mean, but there's also times where you can just shut your live stream down because the whole world's falling apart and nothing's good's going to come out of this today. We'll recap later. But
people you get to see the true emotion of the anglers while they're competing during the day. Nobody's perfect. Yeah, you're going to have some cussing. You might have some rods, snapping over their knees, but you get to see that, and that's what people need to see. It's not all, sunshine and roses all day long. You get to see the big bags that everybody brings in, the pictures and stuff like that. But how did they get there? The secrets are not there. Nobody's telling information stuff as far as what they're doing. You get to see everything all day long, exactly how they're utilizing their equipment. And it can just make everybody a better angler.
Yep, no doubt. And we need to be a little more transparent as anglers. They used to be, and now it's the immediate gratification of the information. It's old news. If you don't do an interview or talk to that tournament winner within a couple of days, it's all right. By the time the next tournament rolls around, who won the last one, nobody even remembers. You do if you want it, obviously, and we all know who did.
Yeah.
But, the general public's like, oh, we're off to the newest thing. So breaking it down, and they've done a little bit better job. I know Cardenas to get snapping some photos of the winning baits and stuff like that. But we don't have journalists anymore. We don't have we don't have people there interviewing and asking questions. I think most of the guys would be 80, 90% probably pretty transparent. Like, yeah, I'm using this because they're getting it. The Dewey Helms and stuff are getting more sponsored, more involved, and getting better at that, to where, yes, I'm using my Rapala, my Crush City, Mooch Minnow or whatever, or my Jig and Wrap, or my Z-Man Jerk Shad. That's what the people want to know, right? And all those Berkeley guys are using the Crawler. You're going to see a ton of this stuff coming out next year. The Finisher, these things work. They all think it's just the Jig and Crawler tournament, and well, that works pretty damn good too. What jig are you using? Why using that jig?
Exactly. Yeah, it's just information, and then when you're selling their products, people are going to buy it, and then it just helps you out in the long run.
I mean, you and I buy what we see the other pros using because, I didn't have that. I couldn't get them on that, but I had the wrong size or color, so I got to go get 10 of those now because Sprinkle said Chrome Finisher was the thing, and that's the only one I didn't have. So here I am.
USA loves me.
Yeah, exactly. I go straight to the websites, Berkeley. Oh, God dang it. Those come out yet? I need those. But what they don't see, like you said, the true emotion, if you can live stream this stuff, they see us coming. They see a little live takeoff video, and they see the weigh-in. And you brought in 5 nice fish. They didn't see the 5 hours where you didn't get a bite, and you got those 5 fish in 10 minutes. Right? I think Tom Wynn on his last the championship, his video cut out after a couple hours, and I was doing something in the morning, so I had it on, and he didn't make a cast for like an hour or two. He just drove around. They're like, "There's nothing here. There's nothing we're throwing at." And then finally, made a couple casts and caught one. It's like it's a patience, very, very much patience. But they're like, "Well, it's boring." I'm like, "Well, we're not going fun fishing. fishing for the 5, best bites, and there may only be 5 a day, and there'll be days you get a lot more, but you're going to see guys spin out. You're going to see them stay calm and cool.
100%. That'd be fun though to watch. A handful of guys that can do the live streaming stuff. And you got to get invest in all the equipment and stuff like that to get it done. I haven't done it yet, or even looked into it, but I think it'd be cool to have that and watch that live streaming stuff, and then actually see how a guy like Tom goes through about his day when it is a struggle, or when he's having success like that. And there's a lot to learn. It's just not much, all about catching the fish. There's a lot that goes on in an 8-hour day in the boat.
Yeah. Once you find a fish, or even if you got it on your scope, that's kind of the easiest part of the whole process is making the cast and hooking the fish if it wants to bite. Now, if they don't want to bite, it's a whole other challenge, but it's everything that goes up to it and after it, and then it's all up here.
Yep. That is correct.
Easy. You've been doing this for a long time. It's easy to get spun out, or things not go your way, or you drive 30 miles to your spot and the water's changed muddy, or just, you're like, oh, wow. All right. My whole plan for the whole day is this, because your spots are so far apart, right? It's 30 miles back plus 10 to the new area. And now you've lost an hour, 2 hours of your day is already gone. And you haven't wet a line.
Yep. And honestly, first thing I usually tell my coiners in the morning is if I can tell that they're bubbly and cheerful, yep. I'm like, hey guys, at some point today, the wheels on the bus are going to come off. I said, these guys are going to have to reel me in, keep me positive. It happens every single day to me. I mean, they
makes 2 of us
derail, and I got to take a few minutes, and I warn my coiners every single day. There's a point in time where I am going to derail, and I just need you to reel me back in and say, we got to catch 1 or 2 more fish, or get on them, and then I'll be back in the game. So
yeah, you're preaching to the choir there. I tell them before we take off, I'm like, don't take nothing personal today. Don't take nothing personal today. This is my job, but then I get that super high energy, optimistic guy. And I'm like, good. We need that guy in the boat today, because it's going to be a tough day, or even if it's not, things just go south on you. And you're like, oh, dang, that guy just out here, whatever. You got to get that PMA, as Swindle says, right? That positive mental attitude, flip that switch and go. He can do it. You're supposed to be in charge. You better do it too.
100%. I love guys like that. It just makes the day, go by so much better. It goes by fast. And then usually by the end of the day, they're your best friend. And, and it's awesome.
When you're catching them, it's all good.
Yep.
I mean, the mood in the boat changes instantly, dramatically when things are going good. You're like, you've been fishing buddies for 20 years. When you're not, you're like, get out of my boat. There's something's not right. It's not good.
Yeah. Yep, I hear you. It happens. And honestly, it happens to everybody. It happens at every single tournament to everybody. I don't care what anybody says. It happens. And it's quite interesting, those tournament days when it does happen.
It does. Hey, well, don't be discouraged, co-anglers. Get in our boats and be PMAs and optimistic, and keep Danny and I on track. So there's other pros that, like Tom, I know they're just calm and cool and good to go. Randy Humble, good friend, fishing partner. He's that way. He's just very chill, and it's good. Like I always say, it's a good travel partner, because I'm not. I'm a little high strung, and it's a good balance. We can talk each other up and down at practice through things, and real methodical. Everybody's got their strengths, and you kind of know. And when you work with a couple, 2 or 3 other people to break down a body of water, you go do those things.
Yep.
So he can tell me he's catching something somewhere, and I know exactly what he's doing, because that's his strength. And I'm like, you're pulling crawler harness. He's like, yep. I'm like, he's like, oh, you're pitching a jig. I'm like, yep. Yep. I'm in 10 foot. You're in 30 foot. Yep. Okay. You just know. But then you're also, all right, well, that works there. This works here. You know how it is. You can put that pattern together.
Yep. Correct.
Awesome. We can ramble on about this stuff all day. It's fun talking with one of the best here. Daddy Plautz has been doing this for a long time. I love the story with your mom doing it. You had your dad's been out there getting after it. That's awesome. If guys listening, follow along. If you guys get in that, you planning on doing Spring Valley again?
Oh, 100%. That's not even up for discussion.
Mom's not going to let you say no.
No. Well, see, now my son's 10 years old, and now he's
getting ready.
His to fish a tournament with me because I fished one Battle on the Bay with my daughter. And so that's our thing is fishing that tournament. And now my son's so big into fishing right now. We got a pond in our neighborhood, and there's about 10 boys his age that just rip on their bikes and they just go fishing all day long on this pond. And then my son just after Battle on the Bay, he goes, "Hey Dad, when are you going to fish a tournament with me? Or when can I fish one with you?" And I'm like, "All right, game on." And so I got to try to find an event that will accommodate. And that little dude is one hell of a live scoper. He just absolutely just loves live scoping, and him working like a shiver minnow or even just a purple hair jig. Yeah. It's just like watching him like, God damn.
They just have it. Those
dude's good.
10, 16-year-old kids, they could just do that. I get it. I live scope thousands of hours and I get it. But then you see my buddy brought his kid from Florida who bass fishes and he's like 12 or something now. And I was like, go for it. I was like, I'll just get out of your way. You got the foot control. Just have at it. He brought his own bait casters. He's up there. Whoosh. I'm like, yeah, I just sat down in the back with his dad. I'm like, yeah, just let Wyatt go. He's got it. He's good to go. I'm like,
it's awesome to see.
They get it. They got it. I mean, it's probably because of the video games, but it's not like we didn't have video games. I had a Nintendo and a Sega, and hell, I think I even had a PlayStation. So, but all I ever played was Madden. So I don't know.
But the cool thing is watching those kids do that up front is that they're learning, they're watching the fish, how they react to the baits. And then, like, I know my kid rifles through a whole bunch of baits in his box or my box or whatever. And, and now it's become, personal for him as far as,
right.
I want to catch that fish, and just watching him do it. And then just, it's like, okay, yep, I see it. This is going to be good.
Well, you said it earlier, and your kid has just defined it. It's mano a mano. It's you versus the fish. And that's what I kind of go in every tournament going, it's just me versus you. I don't watch your own bobber, Brett King would always say. And I don't care what the other guys are doing, how many they're catching. Me versus you, one at a time.
100% correct. Yep. I love that. Yep. And you know what? Even with live scope, a lot of people say it's like, oh, it's taken away from our sport. But you know what? I feel like it kind of is leveling out the playing field a little bit. Some of that luck stuff, those luck bites, those luck, luck tournaments, it's kind of leveling the playing field. For me personally, my perspective, I think it's leveling the playing field amongst the anglers with that technology. And it's kind of good, you're not getting that luck bite. It's, you're actually seeing that fish in your
You see it. Yeah, we all have it. I don't think there's anybody out there on tour that doesn't have one. So now you got to find them, but you all had the opportunity to find it and figure it out, whatever, versus how it used to be where it was blind casting and you knew there was some fish and all of a sudden your 18 inchers turned into an 8-pounder that was happened to be roaming through and you got, lucky. Now, granted, say there's times of practice where you hit a pod of big fish and you went back and you caught them, but the slot tournaments, when you get that one big one more often than not, you see at Lake Sharp, Robert Crow, good angler. Bam, we're hoping to see one 8-pounder in the whole tournament. Guy busts 21 pounds on day one, and it blew his mind.
Yep. It's just something else, there's always luck involved in these tournaments, and you just roll up on their spot and they're there or they're not there or whatever, vice versa. There's still luck, but I feel like it's leveled out pretty good. Not pretty good, but I think it's that luck factor is coming down a little bit.
Yeah, I agree 100%. All right, we can wrap this thing up here. We've been going on for a while. Let's leave our listeners with one little nugget, some of Danny Plautz, and maybe it's fishing tip for all the other sons out there to get your moms in the boat a little more often and bring in a winner. But what do you leave our listeners with a tip to help them on their angling career?
Oh, let's see here. You know what? Let's think about a little nugget that we got here. For me, it's not so much a nugget. It's like, let's introduce like these kids to the outdoors. Like I have a neighborhood full of kids that are my son's age, and I was fortunate enough to be able to take a few of them out fishing. You know what? And then it changed their whole perspective of fishing, the outdoors, and then just teaching them teaching them a little bit more about, human, being a good human being and things like that. And then introducing new stuff to them. Just taking somebody new out fishing is I think is what we're missing the boat on. A lot of opportunity missed there. And I like to take advantage of, taking people out fishing that don't get to go out. I've done it a handful of times this year already. Even in my in the cleaning industry, I have some customers that I've taken out fishing, not
awesome.
just because of business,
Right.
but because their kid saw me fishing tournaments,
Yep.
and he goes, "I want to go fishing." And then the guy ended up buying everything that I had in my boat,
Yeah.
my scope and the baits. I seen him at the one of the fishing expos, and he bought a handful of rods. He went up to St. Croix, bought a bunch of rods on when they had their customer appreciation stuff going on. And so I think getting that next generation out is important, and it brings a lot of joy. It'll bring a lot of joy once you get those youngsters out there or somebody new, and that's what I got. I mean,
it impacts them in more ways than just catching a fish.
100%. Yep.
It's not. I mean, getting out. I mean, you hear so many stories. Steve Harvey was at ICAST. He's got a whole fishing foundation for youth, and I didn't even know it existed. And it obviously it's pretty big. It's Steve Harvey, right? This guy's big name, and it's because it saved him, kept him from getting into the gangs and all these things, that from where he grew up and all the bad. He's like, kept me out of trouble. I got somebody, and it doesn't have to be kids. I always tell people, I'm like, yes, get the kids started, get them young, get them going. I'm a guy that do it every day, but I have more adults. A lot of times it's just reintroducing people. A lot of kids grow up, they're in high school, college, they get busy, but later in life they get back into it. Or your neighborhood's got a bunch of kids that maybe their parents don't fish, right? So they're knocking on your door, or your son's showing them how, and all of a sudden now you got a boatload every weekend that you have off because you got to take the whole neighborhood fishing. But eventually that kid's dad's going to be like, hey, I want to tag along, and learn some stuff and then pass that on.
Yeah, and it just takes all of us. Just if you impact one kid's life or one person's life, introduce him to the outdoors, it just makes our industry that much better, and a brighter future for generations to come when you impact that one person.
Right on. Couldn't have said it better. That is true. Change a life. Take someone fishing. It could do miracles, people. Let me tell you. And strengthen our industry, strengthen everything. We all win, especially as tournament guys and sponsorships. We all win. So I have more tackle.
Yeah, well, and guys like you and I, we have the means we have the gear to do it, and it's really not that big of a hindrance to do that. It's
not at all, and
out there and just doing it.
And if you're listening, if you've never been to an NWT event, which I'm going to assume these are going to continue to go on, let's have the kids fishing clinic on the final day weigh-in. So show up at Bow Bridge, Lake Erie, Maynanock, Oconto at 4 p.m. on that Friday. And you're going to hand out some fishing rods and reels, usually some T-shirts, all donated by John Gilman, a great dude through the MPA. There you go. There's the first. Don't tell me the cost of entry is expensive when I give it to you. It's free. Like you said, you and I have the means. We have the gear you need to come over. We'll let you use it, get it for you, buy it, whatever the case is. But little kids, anybody, you're going to get this free gear. You're on the lake. These pros are there. They're going to help you, show you some tips, maybe rig it up, or even go out and cast a line in the river quick before you leave. So
100%. We're and I could say that all of us are pretty, approachable. So if you guys have questions, and there's no such thing as a dumb question. A dumb question is one that's not asked.
Yep.
We just, and if you have a question about the fishery that we're on, you can come up and talk to us. I mean, I guarantee everybody there will be more than happy to say, this is what we're doing. This is what, what's going on with the body of water. This is what you look for. We just spent the whole week out on the body of water, and very approachable, and sign autographs and tell you how we did it.
Yeah, the whole autograph signing stuff. That's all new to the walleye anglers. And it's pretty cool. I think everybody's like, oh man, this kid wants my autograph. I'm a who am I? I was like, yeah, you're a somebody. If you don't think you're a somebody, go back and look at the photo of the kid standing by Springle's boat at Bigstown that Cardenas caught.
Yep. That was a great picture.
That is a phenomenal, that's it. That should just be what's on everybody's thing is this was you, this was me. We were all this kid at one time. I never had that opportunity to stand by Pringle's boat or anybody's like that, but you're just looking at it, and everything going through that kid's head. And that's what they look at all of us in those jerseys. They all think you're that guy, and you are. I had some extra Seaguar hats at Sharp. So I had them, and I think Horner had a Sharpie, and I was like, oh, two kids came up. They had a card. I think there was a card or something, like a postcard somebody had, and everybody was signing it. And I was like, here, give them the hats, and signed it. I'm like, everybody can sign the hat. You don't just have to be me. I'm like, go bother John over here, Hoyer. Go get that guy. I'm like, I pointed out a few. I'm like, go get him. But then 10 minutes later, these kids had those hats on.
That's awesome.
I'm like,
so much fun.
Oh yeah, they're smiling from here, running around, rubbing it in their buddies' faces, like that guy gave us these Seaguar fishing hats, man. And whatever your skill or experience level is as an angler, you deserve a fishing reel that contributes to your success and satisfaction on the water and never detracts from it. From the makers of St. Croix rods, 7 Reels, spelled Seviin, is born of 7 decades of design and manufacturing expertise, industry-leading angler support, and the American family ownership dating back to 1977. 7 Reels are designed and crafted for high performance and unrelenting reliability. Verified at least 16 different ways by extreme torture testing at 7's one-of-a-kind Park Falls, Wisconsin laboratory. 7 Reels are also proven on the water by the most demanding professional guides and tournament anglers. So by the time a 7 reaches your hands, it's ready for anything you throw at it. Guaranteed by the best and easiest warranty in the industry. Disappointment happens, but there should never come as a result of your reel. 7 Reels are tested, proven, and guaranteed to be the most reliable on the planet. Check out the entire lineup at 7reels.com.
Was South Dakota this year? I just want to bring that up. South Dakota this year, there was a couple of kids that were running around like asking if we had any extra plastics, any baits that we could give them, and then they would wash your boat for you, before we left town. I'm like, that is so cool. It's so cool to see.
I had a lacrosse. I got off the water one day at practice, and there was a father-son, and they were on the dock fishing. And I was putting things away in the parking lot, only boat there. It's pretty late. And they came over, and they were parked kind of by me, and his 9-year-old boy or something like that. And I was like, "Did you get any?" He's like, "Oh, I had a couple bites, and they were throwing a spinner bait." And I could tell he had a plastic on. I was like, and I just pointed at his dad, said, "Bring the boy over here." And I reached in, and I got piles and piles of Z-Man stuff and grabbed a couple. I'm like, "Here." And threw him 3 or 4 things. I'm like, here's what I caught him on today. Gave him some jerk shads, and his dad's like, "Oh, wow." I'm like, "That's cool, man. Don't worry about it. Just go out there, have fun, keep taking your kid out." They're on the right side of that dock. Cast over there next time because I could see them on side image, But they go there all the time. But yeah, the kids just like this. And like I said, it didn't cost us nothing. It took you 1 minute, and we don't. First time I probably even told that story, because you're not looking for the pat on the back or nothing, but you're just other anglers that are listening. You got all this stuff out there. When you see these kids or new anglers, throw them a bone, throw them a t-shirt. Scarless was great at it. Had a box of hats in the back of his truck, and would just be like a parade or something, if kids came around them. So you guys get all that extra stuff, carry it with you and hand it out. Get rid of it. It doesn't do us any good sitting in the garage. So
no, my wife just complains about it all sitting in the garage. Do something with it, because she's tripping over it every time she goes out to take out the garbage or something fun.
We're fishermen. We're lure collectors and notorious pack rats, because we might need it. We might need it for this next tournament, right? You got to bring everything with you, but you know what? Somebody who needs it is somebody who doesn't have it.
Yeah,
help them out. So. All right. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Thank you, Mr. Danny Plautz, for joining us today and dropping some wisdom. Guys, watch for that Spring Valley tournament results. You're going to see Danny and his mom up there at the top of the board. That's usually into March, I think, right? It's cold.
Yeah, it's like right in the middle of March somewhere. Yeah,
end of March.
Yep.
Spring Valley one. Fun fishery. Been there one time, did all right. Wouldn't mind going back. I kind of like that challenge. I didn't like the cold and the ice. That was a horrible time, but tournament days were all right. So that is what it is, but that's part of the experience. So, and that is what makes your mom one tough cookie for sure. So,
yep, that's for sure.
Shout out to her. So, guys, watch for the results there, and looking forward to seeing you on tour next year. And like I said, I think it's going to be a good year. A lot of big things coming. Good schedule. A lot of good sticks. You're going to see some big bags. It's going to be fun. I think the anglers are all going to step up, make it a big show. We're just going to take this control of this thing by ourselves and make it a big deal, like it should be, and catch a lot of fish. So once again, thank you
so much for having me.
Thank you all for tuning into this episode, Real Talk Fishing with No Limits. We will be back soon. We're finally back on schedule. We got a little bit off last month because we had to get the championship one in there right away, but we're back on schedule. So thanks for tuning in. Stay safe, folks, and we'll see you on the water.